Okay, so I
Happy
have a
Tuesday.
happy Tuesday. I have a water bottle today because I'm
Water's good.
trying to keep hydrated. My issue, not hydrated enough.
So important to
So,
stay hydrated. That's
very
a
much
key to
so.
so many things. Like the basis of literally everything is proper hydration.
Yes, yes.
Simple
And
but hard to remember
well,
to make sure you're doing properly.
and just also being organized about it.
Yeah.
So just growing up and I hate the word growing up, but that's what I feel like I'm still doing. Even though we're all grown
Adulting.
up as it is, we're adulting, it's like there's
Yes.
still more that you can
Yes.
learn in life.
Oh, always.
Skincare, hydration, vitamins, eating properly, the whole thing.
And everything changes. As soon as we get it, everything changes. Just like
Well, every
algorithms on social
yeah.
media. You get it and then it just changes and you're like, okay, I need to just hire someone at this point.
Well, even real estate, and that's why
Yes.
we're here to talk about real
Yes.
estate. It
Let's talk
changing,
real
what to
estate
expect. Yeah.
always.
Mhm.
Couple things stay the same. So today I was thinking we could chat about one of the things that should stay the same, which is like when you're choosing your team. I like to call it the real estate team, the people that you're going to work with. It's a really important relationship. And a lot of people don't understand how important it is because, the big box places like Zillow have made it seem like you just click it, click your time, it shuttles you over to an agent, they answer their phone, they're gonna run and show you. So they really have taken the respect for what we do out and they have made it seem like just anybody can just, work with you. While anybody can show you a house, not just anybody can facilitate a transaction.
Yeah,
And I think
anybody can open up a door, but the
anyone can be Vanna White.
contracts?
I want to be Vanna White. I always, when I was little, I wanted her job. I wanted to stand there in the beautiful dress and just touch the letters and flip them around.
Ooh, have pretty
Who
nails,
wouldn't want that job? I
hair done.
mean, how did she get that job? I want that job, but not realistic, right? And so there's a couple of things that people need to know. And I know, like, just to start it off, I know, and you've heard the same thing for yourself being a loan officer. Um, I've had agents when I'm in a multiple offer situation say to me, "Hey guys, welcome in."
Hi,
Say to me,
Jesse.
and so the reason why you're winning this is because it's you, because either they know me personally or they know my reputation. And I know you've heard the same thing that they're like, you know what? We're choosing this offer because it's you, because they know that you're behind the funding, which is super important. Got to have the funding and you got to have an agent that's not an idiot that's going to get everything to the finish line. So that's what I wanted to chat
Yes.
with today. There's a lot of things that agents out there don't want people to know. And it's typically the agents who are behind the Zillow where they just run and show houses and, you know, nobody asks them questions. Nobody even knows what to ask them, probably. So I'm thinking we should talk about that because it's really important who you work with. Who you work with does matter. So that would be a great conversation because we're getting into
Mhm.
spring season and things are starting to get busy.
Hi,
So
Melissa. Let's keep going. Hi, Jenny.
hey, everybody, come on in and like us
Yeah.
and tap the bell for notifications.
Or
I'm Holly. This is Cece. We're talking real estate. And this is what we do every Thursday at 6:30 Eastern. So
yes.
anyone who's thinking of, I'd love to hear if you're thinking of buying or selling this year too. And if you are, what your thoughts on or what's important to you in an agent, or maybe just if you were going to buy, I'd like to quiz you guys. What do you think is important in a real estate agent or a lender? Because there's a lot that I think people don't understand about what we do and how we do it and why it matters. I always say who you work with matters. It's
Oh,
huge.
hundred
Super important.
percent.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a
and
hundred
just like
percent.
what we were, um oh, and Emma is on as well. So, the big thing is even talking about right when we went live, how important it is to really have preparation. We're talking about hydration, vitamins. As you get older, you start learning the value and the appreciation of stuff. So, kind of molding that back into real estate, the preparation of how to find a good agent, not just the one that can open a door,
Right. Like Vanna
and
White.
but one that actually knows contracts, that actually knows negotiations, ones that no contracts and don't force you to sign or make you feel obligated to sign a buyer's agreement, which is
Well,
huge.
so there's something to that though, because we have to have that now. Like there's a NAR settlement issue where we can't show houses without
Mhm.
something in writing. So what needs to happen is you need to feel comfortable though. I think the biggest issue is when people feel like they're being, like you said, pushed through, forced through. It's because they're not being educated properly. They're not, someone didn't take the time to sit down and do like a buyer consultation to explain here's what's going to happen so that they can feel comfortable going through the process, so that if there's a multiple offer situation they know what they need to do, and you're not just telling them, hey, we have to hurry up and write an offer, and we're going to need a deposit, and we're going to need to do X, Y, and Z. Oh, and we have to get an inspection. Oh, do you have an inspector you want to use? It's, that's too much. If you're doing all of that at one time, it means you didn't prep your buyer properly. And now they're feeling stressed out because all of those things could have been discussed. And a lot of the things could have been already handled or are prepped so that when the time came, they're ready to go. And you do all of that. And then you say, okay, so here's a contract. And due to the law that's changed recently, we have to be what we call under contract that you want to hire me as your agent. I think buyers are comfortable making that choice and making that decision once they've sat with you, asked you their personal questions that they have, what's important to them, and you have to prove your worth. That's part of it. We're getting paid to do this. It's almost like an interview. It's almost like you're
It
interviewing
is.
each other,
It
like
is, and you should do that. This
exactly.
is an important transaction. Now, what I've seen with my clients on the lending side, and I've quite a few bad examples, good examples, but let's touch on something that recently just happened to one of my clients is that they were on Zillow and Zillow matched them up with a local real estate agent. Now,
Mhm.
real estate agents will buy leads. Real estate
Yep.
agents, and there's nothing wrong with that. If you want to, then go ahead. But if you, there's some pros and cons to it. So if you get an agent blindly match up to you via Zillow, they will, and this is what happened to my client. Oh, know what? Sign this contract. We'll see a couple homes. If you don't like it, I'll dissolve the contract. Now, Holly, ask me if they dissolve that contract.
Probably not, because they felt like I
Nope.
don't want to work for free, and why would you use me to show a couple houses and then not want to work with me? But that agent, when you're in that situation, it's your job to show value. So if
Well,
you're
they
going to
didn't
do it
even
that way,
explain it.
yeah, if you're going to do it that way, you've got to really show value. Get them, after that first showing, see if you can meet for coffee and sit down and still do the conversation, or you're doing it at the showing. Because with Zillow, they have a rule. So everyone should know this. Zillow has a rule that when an agent picks up the phone and Zillow pushes that call, they're not allowed to even ask if they're pre approved. I don't like that. They're basically just an order taker. When do you want to go? What time works for you? Great. I'll make the appointment with the seller, just get some information about them. That's it. You don't even know if this person is a total murderer. Could be an axe murderer just trying to meet you at a house and kill you. And that's what I don't like
All
about
to
the
make
system.
money. Yep,
All to
all
make,
to make
all so
money.
that Zillow makes money. And they're also
Mhm.
recording those calls. And here's the other thing. Most of the time, those Zillow Flex leads are with these big teams. And the reason why the big teams sign up for the Zillow leads, I feel like they're selling out, quite honestly, but that's another conversation, is because they don't have to pay for the leads. There are leads out there you can buy. You can actually buy good leads, and you can call the people and get back with them and go through this process. The
Can
Zillow
you
leads,
can I pause you for a moment? Can
yeah.
you explain what a lead is? Because I don't think a lot of people understand how a lead becomes a lead and what
So
it
a lead
is.
is someone who's online, let's say Zillow, for example, and they see a house that they want and they click that they want to see it. Automatically, they put some information in. Now they're a lead. Now they're in Zillow's database, and now their information has been sold to at least one agent, usually more than one, usually is a few. So, or it could be another site. It could be homes.com. It could be Realtor. It could be Red. There's so many sites out there. But if you click, or it could be an ad, like I could be running an ad on Facebook and they click on it, put their information, and now they're a lead to me. meaning somebody to be followed up with. But with the Zillow leads, they're not really, sometimes they're hot leads, meaning somebody really wants to see this house right now. But it's I don't think it's a good way to go. Again, so what I was saying with the teams, the reason why they want to use these leads is because they don't have to buy them. Zillow takes about 40%, 30 to 40% based on the price point. And then the team lead is going to take their 60% and give the agent who's actually working with the buyer 40% of what is it? It's already been 40% off. So then you have 60% less. So you have 40% of 60%,
Wait,
basically.
so is it so you have 100, let's just
Not
say
even
it's
a
100.
third,
They take so Bill takes 40%. What's left is
60.
60, but it reverts back to 100, and then the brokerage takes 60, and you're left with 40 of that whole sum?
Right. But it's not 40 of 100%, it's 40 of
Mm-mm.
60%. So it's these agents have to run and run and run to try to make any money at all. And so it really dumbs down our industry, in my opinion, because you're not getting an agent who's going to take the time that needs to be taken. They're not even finding out these people are pre approved. So for sellers, this is not good news for sellers because sellers are potentially cleaning their house, getting their kids, their dog, everybody
Opening their
out,
house.
yet leaving, hurrying up after dinner or not even doing dinner and going out, having to be out of the house because that's when people are home from work to go do
With the
showings.
dog
Right.
or the
And
animal.
right.
If
And
they
they
have
have to,
animals, they have to take it.
they do or create it. So it's a lot of work for a seller. And when these people are coming through without even a pre-approval, I mean, it's just a really lame way to do business. And
Mhm.
unfortunately, it's how a lot of business is being done right now. And people are getting subpar agents, which is, I understand now why some people think, well, why do I need a real estate agent? They think we're just crackerjack. I just push a button like a genie in a lamp. Boop, out comes a real estate agent meeting me at this house to show me this house because, that they're just sitting by their phone all day waiting. And I don't like doing that. I did it for 30 days just to see what that was like. And so I can speak intelligently and say, I think it's a horrible system for everybody. I don't think anybody's being served well on that system.
No, and then when my client who we ended up closing on a property, but here's the thing, when they went on Zillow and the Zillow agent that they purchased a lead, whatnot, said, "Just sign the contract, the buyer's, agreement, sign it, I'll let you out," whatever. That agent actually didn't explain anything to them. There was
Right.
no explanation, sent it over, they did an electric signature. Then they decided they were driving by and they were noticing this one agent's name. And they decided to call that agent, go, "No, I'd rather be represented by that person because they're local." So they
Hmm.
went back to the other agent and said, "Okay, I want to be let out my contract." We didn't see homes, nothing.
Oh, didn't even see a home.
Never even saw
So
a home.
let me tell you one more thing that agent should have done. When you're doing the Zillow thing, there is a one showing contract. That is what the client should ask for. And really, it'll just say the one address, or it'll
Okay,
say the addresses if they're going to see a bunch of houses that day. It'll say, or it could just be, we're under contract for 1 week. But
okay.
typically, if it's just one house, it can just say, if you want to put in an offer on this house only, I'm your agent. That's what they're supposed to do, so that people feel
Mm,
at ease because they don't even know this person yet. They don't know if they're going to like them. So, but that's what she should have done. The agent was really supposed to do it that way because it's really unfair to ask somebody into a contract when they haven't even met you yet. I think it's just foolish. You don't know this person from Adam. Again, let's forget all the agents who have been murdered at open houses and at showings like this. It happens. It has happened. And unfortunately, I don't see it stopping with the way the world is. So, why in the world anyone would want to do business this way, or why your broker or your team lead on your team would actually put you in harm's way? I have a hard time with that. I don't think that's really serving your people. Again, I think it's a greedy way to get leads because you don't have to pay for them and you're shoving these people out the door to go do sloppy business.
yeah.
That's how I feel about it.
Okay, so I have a question. Another scenario just came up recently. I have a client who wants to get out of a contract down in Florida,
With an
and
agent?
with an agent,
Mhm,
same almost same scenario. Maybe they went and saw a house, they didn't mesh well in
mhm.
the contract. They didn't read it. They did not do their due diligence. I'm going to say that right now. They did
You
not
gotta
read the
read
contract.
she just signed things, you gotta read it,
She
yeah,
just, I know. Let's just keep saying read contracts before you
yes,
sign it. Real
always,
estate, anything. Read
anything.
it. If you don't understand it,
Get an
ask an
attorney.
attorney or go, know what? Chat GPT it at this point.
Yeah. What does this
Seriously,
say? What does this
throw,
mean?
throw
Yeah,
it in. Like you can copy and paste it in
you can.
chat GP. Oh my gosh, I'm so tongue tied. You know, that wonderful website and go, "What does this mean?" It'll
Mhm.
summarize it for you. So what ended up happening is in Florida contracts, they can, and I'm not sure about Michigan, you're gonna have to correct me on this. Florida buyer's agreement, they can put a fee in there to cancel. Can you do that here in Michigan?
Yeah, you can. You can have a
So
fee,
if
you can
they
have
see so many homes that,
nobody ever does it, but you can.
okay,
Yep.
because that was in theirs, that there was a $350 cancellation fee.
So devil's advocate would say, I would ask anybody, do you wanna work for free? Most people would say no. You know, we're not, this is not a charity.
Mhm.
So the reason why I think some agents are doing that is to combat the fact that there are some people now, we're talking about agents not doing their
Tire
job. There are
kickers.
some bad people out there, not bad people, but people who really truly don't treat others how they would want to be treated. And what I think they can just call someone, run them around for nothing, which isn't fair. It's not nice to do that.
We've
So I
all
think
done
that's,
it.
yeah, I've
It's
had it
not
done to
fun.
me. Yeah. I mean, you live and
Mhm.
learn. But so I think to combat that, that's what it is. Like, it's fine if you want to cut the contract. However, there will be a fee for that because I don't typically get paid to show houses. But if that's going to be the end of our relationship and there's really no reason other than you just decided you don't want to buy a house anymore, I do want to be compensated for the showing. So I can understand that. I don't do that because I don't meet random strangers for showings. I sit down with people or I do a Zoom if they're out of state and I get to know them and I make sure they're comfortable working with me and they want to work with me. Because quite honestly, if somebody doesn't want to work with me, then why are we even talking about seeing a house? Right? It's you're hiring someone to do a job for you. And we don't get paid until we close, but that doesn't
Okay.
mean that our time's not valuable. So, that being said,
Yeah.
on that topic, everyone has to just respect themselves. And you want an agent that respects themselves. You want an agent that isn't just, oh, I'll run around and do what everyone wants, because that means that agent's not high in
A
demand.
Vanna White.
Right. They're not high in
Hello.
demand. And there's a reason why they're not high in demand. Maybe they're brand new
Yeah.
and they're learning. That's okay. Or maybe they're just not very good at what they do or they don't understand how to negotiate their own worth. Now, let's talk about that real quick. If I can't negotiate my own worth to my client sitting in front of me and why they would want to hire me, should hire me, and why I'm the best person for the job, how am I going to negotiate on their
Oh,
behalf when we turn around and I'm writing a contract and I'm up against other offers and
what a
I've got to
great
talk,
point.
I've got to talk to the agent. I've got to schmooze with them and do everything and write a contract that's going to win for them. If I don't know how to win for myself, how am I going to win for you?
What a great point. Know what? I feel like you should say that one more time. Let's sink that
Can
in.
I remember what
Really,
I said? Well, it's negotiating
no,
is the number one thing we do. If I'm
yes.
not able to
Yeah.
sit across from the
Mhm.
table from a client, a buyer, and really truly give a really good synopsis of my value, of why they should hire me, of why I'm the best person for the job, and why I am worth what I charge as a buyer's agent, if I can't negotiate my own worth to them, which of course is very important to me, clearly, because it's my livelihood, when it's time for me to now negotiate for them on their behalf, which of course, again, I am connected to, but how am I going to do an amazing job for them if I can't even sit there and prove my worth at the table when we haven't even gotten into a situation where there's multiple offers or there's inspections or there's possibly an appraisal issue that pops up, or maybe they chose a lender that I'm not jiving with and I'm having to have that hard conversation and saying this lender is not doing what they're supposed to do. I know you like this big box company, However, we need to look at something else. I need to have those tough conversations so that I can win for you. I have to know how to be able to do that and to put their best interest at heart. And if I can't even do it for myself, I'm probably going to really struggle to do it for somebody else.
Yeah, and I've when I get on the phone, like when you and I share clients, you and a few other top negotiators, like I know you know Gib,
I trained
good
him.
friends, a good friend of ours.
He
He
got rookie of the year because I trained him.
Yeah, great negotiator. That man was getting seller concessions in 2020.
Yeah.
Like, I've
Selling
never
ice
seen that
to
between
an
you
Eskimo.
2. Yeah, between I know, seriously, that's Gib, but
Yeah.
between the 2 of you, excellent negotiators, and you sit and you
Mm.
listen to your clients. So I'm gonna as you're talking about your worth, I find it so valuable that you just said that because it brings light to the situation of having to ask buyers questions, find their goals, get organized, and talking about this buyer agreement and what
Mhm.
that looks like moving forward, that they're comfortable, that you've already started showing them your worth and how you're going to fight for them. Because again, this is a team. We got to
Right.
be organized. I love what you just said because there's only a few that I know that are really good negotiators. I'll sit back, go, hmm, should we hold? Should we wait? What
Thank
are
you.
we gonna
It's so
do?
important.
It
You know, here's
is.
and here's something else too. Something else that people need to know. When you're sitting down at that conversation with an agent, you're interviewing them, they should be asking a lot of questions about you. They should be asking what's important to you. They should be asking where you work. Do you commute? Are you working from home? What are your hours? You know, what does your lifestyle look like? Do you have a family? Are you married? Are there kids? Are there animals? Do you have to be in a certain school district? You know, all of these things. What does your lifestyle look like? Because besides all the financial piece, which is going to be something that, you know, referring, and that's another thing, referring to a great lender who's going to be able to look at the finances and get the rest of the picture together because they may want X, Y, and Z, but we have to find out what we can afford. So that's important too. But if you're not being asked what's important to you, then how is this agent going to actually find it and set up your
Yeah.
search properly? And maybe even say, hey, I know you like walkability, and I know that, you know, X, Y, and Z city are probably going to be outside of the budget because of taxes or just price point. But have you thought about this other area, up and coming, you know, has great other opportunities for this and that and the other? And you can only do that if you learn what's important to your client. You know, people want to work with someone who's taken the time to listen, probably listen
Yeah.
twice as much as they talk because they have to get the information so that they're able to put a plan together for this
Yes.
buyer or for a seller. When you're meeting with sellers, really important to listen to them too and find out what their goals are as they're moving. Where are we going? When do we need to be there? You know, do we need occupancy? You know, how is this time frame going to work? And getting all of that together to make sure that you have timing is really important. Real estate is, if there's one thing that really drives our process, it's timing. Time and under a contract, and we have X amount of days for inspection, and then we have this, and we have to close by this
And
date, and we've got to, how much time do we need after we close in the house? What about the next location? So much. There's so much to really, all of those things have to be managed by your agent.
mhm.
They have to know you, what's important to you, or you're wasting time. Nobody wants to
Yeah.
waste time. We don't really have time to
No.
waste right now.
No, and the timing, if you have to sell your place, get it ready, then so you have to list your place, buy a new place. There's so much to it. Do you need to change out the carpet, put 100 floors in? What does that look like? Do you have to and what you brought up a really good point of showings. The seller has to leave. Let's talk about me. I'm a really good example. For everybody out there, Holly was that way. Holly was my real estate agent when I sold my last home. And that was challenging. I did not realize, first and foremost, I'm in a very high demand area. I'm in a
Mhm.
school district a lot of people want to be in. and I had a ranch with the walkout with woods behind. It was, like, very in demand for a lot of people. So
Mhm.
the first day we had showings, what did we have, like, 11 scheduled?
I
Well,
remember you guys were like, "Wow," because it was
it didn't start off at 11, it started off at, like, 5. So I left
Mhm.
the house with the dog, with the child, so now I have me, Anna, and the dog in the back seat of my car. Then another showing popped up. I'm like, "Well, we're
Yep,
already out and the house is clean," except then another one showed up, then one canceled, and it was like this roller coaster situation, and you were on the phone with me the whole time. "Alright, are you sure?" And here I am at the end of the day, I just sat at the neighbor's house with the dog in the back seat, and I was exhausted, and we just sat there watching people walk in and walk out, just trying to keep back, but I ran out of things to do on a Sunday.
it's
I
and
didn't know what to do
that's
with
what
the
I try to
dog.
always do is do the coming soon so we can stack some showings for the weekend
Mhm.
where people have usually more flexibility on the weekend, where they're not working and having to get to bed super early or having the schedules. Because it is really nice if you can stack the deck. I call it stacking the deck, have a ton of showings, get some offers, try to get multiple offer situation. But if you can get it done for your clients in a weekend, it's better than the slow death of 2 showings here, 2 showings there,
Oh,
because 'cause you're
that dick.
always having to keep
Yeah,
that house
we had
perfect
a
and
few of those.
clean. It's a lot of work. So
Yeah.
it might be it's like choose your heart. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna be selling a
Mhm.
house. The truth is, and I try to prepare people, and it never, you don't know it until you do it, but I
Oh, it
try to
did not sink
prepare.
in. I've
It's a
heard it.
lot.
I've
Yeah,
been in this industry.
it's a lot of
I
work.
know. I've been doing this for a very long time, and then for me to have to experience it myself with a dog, with a child, keeping everybody busy, that was so hard
It
on
is.
me.
Yeah.
Uh, and I've heard it for years, multiple
Yeah.
times, and
Right.
it didn't really register until I had to go through it, and then I was so exhausted, I collapsed. But again, I was so thankful to have an agent that explained it to me, even though I didn't get it, and then the first day it really sank in. But you did explain it, which is great. I just unfortunately did not understand it. I can't be mad at you. I can't be mad at the process. It is what it is, and I just had to roll with it. I think
Yeah.
we ended up eating I feel like I should call Anna or and see. I feel and we're not a fast food family, but I think we ended up eating McDonald's in the car. Think I was dipping chicken nuggets. I was so tired.
I would have ran and got sushi. I've eaten sushi in the car before. That's a challenge, I will say. I've done
Yeah,
that.
the soy sauce. I've
Well,
done it.
I was when I sold my house before I got in here, just to, as an agent, right? I should know all of these things. I think I was the worst seller because I guess I know too much. I left and I did exactly I would pull down the street and watch who's coming in, how many people, because I was just like a total control freak.
Oh.
I hated strangers walking through my house. So it doesn't matter, even though it's what I do for a living. So I
Mhm.
think it helped me though. Going through the process and moving a couple times helped me to understand people more and to be able to say I empathize. I'm gonna let you know it's tough. I know it's tough, but here's the good news. It's gonna be really tough. It's gonna be hard. Just like cleaning your house before we do the photos, and you're gonna hate me because I'm gonna be like really like telling you to do this, and this. You're gonna be like, oh my gosh, this is so much work. You're being nitpicky. But then you see those photos and you're like, all
Oh,
right,
yeah, I did
all
exactly,
right.
like, "Okay, I
This
see
is
it."
why I did this because now
Mhm.
this is all we have to market the house. I
Yeah,
can tell people about it all day long. A picture's worth 1,000 words. I gotta have
yeah.
those pictures and that video so that I can market it and pull those people in. So again, choosing the right agent who knows how to market. So we've talked about negotiating, we've talked about some of the things. Marketing a property. When you're working for a seller, if you don't know how to market, if you don't know digital marketing, you're not working with the right person. If they're taking pictures with their
Well, how do
iPhone,
people find their homes other than Zillow? I mean, let's say someone who doesn't have a buyer agreement signed.
A
contract
lot
and
of
they're
them go
not
on
with one.
Zillow, and I hate Zillow. Well, I shouldn't say that. I mean, I'm not trying to be negative,
Well,
but
it serves a purpose,
Zillow's
but
wrong on a lot of things. Their
the
square footage is always wrong
marketing, yeah, but the
every time.
marketing itself, when you type out that description, it is so important to get that correct. Okay, so I just went and saw a property last week, Friday morning, actually. And a month and a half, actually, so my client went and saw this house Friday at 11. A month and a half prior, I actually reached out to the listing agent, and because there's some things that we saw, I'm like, I don't know if that's VA approved. Don't
Oh,
know, because
yeah,
that's half my business is
right.
veterans.
Yep.
So, to ensure that my clients will get the best, again, I'm listening to them. I called the agent, and the agent said, and it's local too, she's in Clarkston, which this property is way up north. Turns out that she said, "Yes, it's a VA deal." I'm like, "Oh, okay." When my
What's a
client
VA deal?
the house can take a VA loan.
Oh, okay.
And that was in the description. Let's talk
Mhm.
about your marketing. On the mortgage side, that is so important to establish what type of loan you're going to take, what type of
Right.
loan. So when the client's with me and I'm organized and we're being fiscally, financially organized for the client, that description should be exactly cash only, not this, not that. Turns out the house is a tear down, flat out tear down. I saw
Oh,
it from my
man.
own eyes. It was 230, the price point, and I called the agent. I'm like, "Is this can this property have a VA loan on it?" And she said, "Absolutely."
She
It's like,
probably
"Okay."
didn't see it.
No,
I bet she
she
didn't even.
never once set foot on that property. There
Yeah,
is
I
no
can already
way.
figure that one out. She didn't even go
The
look at it.
house was on a 3 to 5-degree angle sloping down.
Oh,
N
fantastic.
A conventional loan wouldn't. This is cash only, tear
Right.
down, it's a land only.
Wow.
I was so disappointed in the fact that she never walked the property, she didn't have good marketing like what you're discussing right now, and that impacts people. That was time out of their day, time out of my day, running numbers on a property because we wanna be fiscally responsible, and that's a big thing that you and I have in common. What is our financial budget? Does
Right.
this align with it? Well, this agent wasted hours of
Mhm.
my time, the worth of my time, my client's
I
time.
bet she didn't even know. I'd be
No,
willing to bet she didn't even
guaranteed she
know
never touched foot
what.
on that property.
Not just that, but even if she did, I'll bet she was just thinking, "Oh yeah, the seller will take whatever offer." She may not have even known the VA and FHA guidelines for what's even lendable on properties and what's
It's a
not going to get
tear
passed.
down.
She might
It's a
not have
tear
even
it's
known any of that, and that's what's unless she's been in the. So yeah, it's that's what's
so
sad. And
your marketing.
who you work with
Mhm.
matters. I
Yeah, so
keep
tell
saying that.
me what type of marketing that you do that would be acceptable and would help a client like mine that doesn't quite have an agent, but has gotten pre-approved, that
So,
is
well, the
kind of
marketing for the
searching.
well, I don't do marketing for a buyer. You mean what seller marketing do I
Yeah,
do for the listings?
exactly.
Yeah. So, I mean, first and foremost, the very basic is having professional photos and a video done. That's like, you have to do that. And I like to do it. The marketing schedule is I like to have my listings on the market as coming soon for at least 2 days. I love it for three before I even let showings through the door. Because that way, the people who don't have an agent yet might reach out to me, which I can save my seller money if I'm working both sides of the transaction. And I always talk about my seller when we're negotiating that out when we're talking about commission. So they know that. And that's my goal. And also, if I control both sides of the transaction, at least I know I'm working with a great agent. It's not going to cause us any problems. And I can make sure they're
I
funding
like
themselves
myself, I like
properly.
myself.
I know, right? So if something goes wrong, I just look at myself, right? I know that it's going to be on me, and
Yeah.
I love that because I would much rather work with me than somebody I don't even know who I have to trust all these other things. So controlling that process is great. But so marketing, getting the photos, getting the video, and then it's all about what you're doing with that, right? So some people will just throw it on their Facebook page and tell people to share it. Well, of course, I'm going to put it all over social media, but I also run
Well, yeah.
digital marketing ads. So I'm running ads on Google, which is also on YouTube, which we're on right now, and on Facebook and Instagram, because that's where people are. They're online, and I want to push it out, not just to anybody, but if I'm running an ad on a specific place and I kind of have an idea of where the buyer's going to come from. We lost Cece, but I'll just keep going. I'm sure she'll jump back in. If I'm running an ad and I'm looking at where's my buyer going to come from, I'm a lot of
You see
times
me?
able to, a lot of
Okay.
times,
Ah, I think we lost Holly now. Technology. So, talk about marketing. Let me pick up where she left off and well, I don't know if she left off, but talking about the marketing on the seller's aspect, how important that is to reflect what the property is like and to showcase a property effectively for her client. Again, my scenario with the client, it didn't say what the property was able to work with. Now, taking time, doing the photos, doing the videos, putting signage, being online, and actually being a presence online, creating that trust, being on YouTube, showcasing knowledge, education classes. That's what you want. And that's something that Holly and I really work together with is that education part and that marketing part that like, hey, this is us and you can trust us. Oh,
I have a green screen. I don't know what is going on, you guys.
I
Hilarious.
don't know.
Oh, there we go. I don't know what just happened. I have
Okay.
no clue. I apologize for that. It just threw me out. It threw you out and then threw me out.
I
But
know.
you
I
did a
did
great job. I could
nothing.
hear everything you were talking about. Oh my
Oh,
goodness.
good. So pick it up right from
So
there.
thank you for holding down the fort. So yeah, I have no idea what just happened. But so with the so I talked about getting the photos and running the ads. So that's going to be the most important thing. Where am I going to run these ads? So most of the time in a lot of communities, it's within maybe 20 minutes from the listing or 20 miles ish from the listing would be average. But there are some specific places where I always tell sellers, we need to know who your buyer is. So we do a buyer profile. I'll discuss with them, okay, it's this type of a property. Let's say it's a 3,000 square foot colonial and it's near schools. Okay, I'm going to say more than likely we're going to have a family moving in here. It's not going to be likely an older couple who are downsizing. That just doesn't make sense because they probably don't want the stairs and they're not going to need all this space. So knowing and understanding who your client is and knowing where to put the ads to find those potential buyers, especially where they're coming from, because there's migration patterns on the IRS for certain areas where, hey, a lot of people that are moving into like the Birmingham area are coming from New York or LA. When they're relocating, they go there a lot because it's similar to what they're used to. And they're, a luxury area with a downtown and, what they kind of are looking for with luxury. So sometimes you're looking at not just within that, 30 miles or 20 miles, but other areas. Sometimes you reach out to relocation, like your Curtis or your other brands that are doing relocation to let them know, hey, I've got a great listing. It's hitting the market. Broker tours sometimes are appropriate in different areas to bring in brokers who may have clients who are, you know, kind of on the fence on if the perfect thing hits, I'll buy, and they may not feel like running around looking at houses. So sometimes agents are doing that and sifting for them. But at that point, now we're running ads online in different areas because we want to bring the best buyers. It's not just about getting one offer. That's great. And some people
Mhm.
think, well, you get an offer on the first day. But what if you could have gotten five offers because you did more of a like broad putting out these ads and different campaigns digitally to bring the best buyers in and the buyers who aren't under contract with an agent. A lot of them aren't even set up on an MLS search. So unless they actively go out to Zillow or are looking, they will never even see it. But I'll tell you where they are. They're on social media. So they're on social media and this house ad pops up. They can say, oh, this is interesting. I'll look at it and I'll check that out. And then of course there's the traditional model, which is doing that open house, especially now because we have what I talked about in the beginning of this, where we can't show houses without a buyer agreement in place of some way, shape, or form. The only way around that is to do an open house. I can do an open house and anyone can walk through. Do
That's
not
right.
do not have to have
Mhm.
anything signed. So, in that respect, it's a great opportunity for my seller, for me to potentially find the buyer who may say, you know what, I'm going to go straight to the listing agent. I don't want to sign with anybody. I just want to work with her. They come through, and that's maybe when I open up showings, is right after the open house. So, for example, coming soon for 3 days, let's say like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, open house Saturday, like 1 to 3, and then showings start at 3 o'clock on Saturday. So, then agents can start scheduling showings. But I've been there to welcome the first set of buyers through. Who knows the house better than me? Only the sellers, who obviously can't be there. So I'm able to, walk people through, give them the tour. I'm knowledgeable and sell the house for my sellers. So all of those things need to come together to really create that picture of marketing a property, not just sticking it in the MLS, sticking a sign in the ground, maybe throwing it up on a Facebook page and hoping that people are just going to come and letting letting the house sell itself, because that's not what a great agent's going to do, and that's not an agent who's worth their commission. I understand why people want to have the commission conversation, because you should, like we talked about, proving your worth to a buyer. Now, as a seller's agent, even more so, I'm sitting down and talking to them about why you're going to pay me commission to list your home. What am I doing in the background that you may not know about? What does my marketing effort look like? And what is the level of expertise that you're paying me for? You can run to a doctor and you might be like, I only spent 15 minutes with me. But he didn't need more than 15 minutes with you, because his education of the past 12 years, if he's a specialist, 15 years, whatever it is, he knows how to get in, do the right tests, ask the right questions, do the right diagnostic assessment to give you a diagnosis and to move you forward out into your life. If it took him an hour, would you feel like he's more worth his money just because it took him an hour? Or are you happy he can assess you properly, give you the answer you need, and out the door, you're back to life and, moving forward?
Mhm.
So, expertise is another big part of what you're paying for with an agent, and how to choose a good agent. And not just a good agent, but an excellent agent. Because as you already pointed out, and as you deal with every day, the financial aspect, this is probably likely the biggest purchase most people will ever make in their life, is buying a house. This is the
Mhm.
biggest financial investment you are making. So I think you should hire a professional that knows what they're doing, either side, as a seller, because you need to net the most money moving forward for that investment that you've put, and a buyer, because you're going to be sitting there signing your life away at the table, committing to this home
Yeah,
and to paying for it.
100%. No, I think
So,
this is an excellent topic, and how it all started was, how do we start this? Being prepared, hydration.
being
I think it started
prepared.
with hydration.
Yeah, being
Being
everything is
prepared.
about preparation, being prepared,
Yes.
taking the extra time. What do they say? Sometimes you have to slow down to go fast. So some people might want to just run to Zillow, click an agent, run and go see the house, thinking that's fast and that's the best way to go. But then, like you mentioned, telling us some really great stories about how people signed contracts with someone they didn't even know and then got stuck. Maybe you take the extra time, you go slow to go fast, you sit down with an agent, you get to let them have a consultation with you. You decide if you want to work with them. I got to be honest, they're deciding if they want to work with you too. And then if it's a match made in heaven, you guys go out and see that house. And now you feel armored up with what you need to know as a buyer, what this process looks like, what's going to happen, getting a great referral to a lender if they haven't done that yet. And again, really and truly shouldn't be going to see houses if you're not pre-approved. I put that in all of my listings. I don't want my sellers wasting their time. I will say pre-approved buyers only. I also do that for weak agents who may not have the guts to say to their client, I'm sorry, I can't show you a house without a pre-approval. I put it right in my listing. And it's a good faith. I'm not making you send me the pre-approval. However, only pre-approved buyers. So that's a good faith that if you're scheduling a showing, you've got a pre-approval in your hand that's worth what it says, and not just some crackerjack out of a box that's, some lender that's a fly by night that hasn't seen Jack.
Mhm.
Just wrote it up on the back of a napkin somewhere. So
Yeah.
for you, I'd love to hear your thoughts on, because technically people should come to the lender before they come to the agent. I'm glad they don't though, because I'm glad they come to me and I can refer you. But if they do it the way they're supposed to and they find your lender first, what are some things they should be asking you or be looking for in a great lender?
I think that's an excellent question. They should really start assessing the lender and how they conduct business. When they pick up the phone, are they personable? Do they care? Are you treated like a transaction? Are you treated a little more like family? Now, this is a business, but as well as, okay, are they listening to you? That is huge. Are they asking about your goals? You brought this up, Holly. Goals, understanding where they're at. Do they wanna live close? What's important? So, some of my clients will come from another home. They may be selling and purchasing. Some are coming from an apartment, some are coming from their parents' house. My biggest question is the value of the home more important, or is the payment important? So,
Hmm.
I'll write a pre-approval on what they want as a payment. I have tons of clients who are approved for a $450,000 house, and, they don't want that. They actually want a payment of 2,500. Well, $2,500 payment that includes principal, interest, taxes, insurance, and then living life, but just that right there, 2,500 is not a $400,000 home. So you gotta be careful that may be a little bit lower, maybe 380, 375, and if that's where they wanna be in price point, that's on me and the real estate agent that I'm working with, who I partner up with. That's important to have that conversation. So when you are talking to a lender, ask that lender, do you talk to the real estate agents? Do you
Right.
work with the real estate agents? Do you communicate this? So my pre-approval is not pre-qualification that I think I know what you can afford. I get
Right.
your documents, I send an email, you're filling out an application. We sit down, and if there's any questions about your credit, let's do credit analysis first. That may happen. So having those questions like, do you work with agents is huge. Do you work 8 to 5? Not saying that I want to work until 9 o'clock at night, but you only have my personal cell phone number. I do not work and have, well, I have a brick and mortar office. I have a beautiful office, just moved to a new one, much bigger, with the bigger windows. So I'm actually kind of excited about that. So I do have a brick and mortar, but I work off my cell phone. You have my personal information. So if there's negotiations that go in, you happen to find the home, you have that pre-approval, you've asked these questions, you are now comfortable financially to pull that trigger. So in order to become financially comfortable, that's where you start asking loan officers these questions. Do you work with a real estate agent? And hear that they ask about your goals. They ask for your documentations. They ask you to fill out an application. I want to be thorough. So I'll ask a lot of open-ended questions. If that loan officer is asking open-ended questions, that's important because that means that they want to know about you and listen. They're asking questions, and then we may have follow-up questions. For example, if I hear that they're married and they just got married, but yet they have an 11-year-old, I have to pause, take that. I'm not a big box company where you're just typing out information. You're talking to a human who can process the information. If I know you have an 11-year-old and you're brand new married in the last 2 years, okay, is there a divorce decree? Do you get child
Hmm.
support? Do you
Right.
owe child support? Do you owe alimony? Those
Hmm.
are really big questions to know how
Yes.
you're living your life. Is there additional
Huge.
income I need to know about? So when you're talking to a lender, we should be asking these open-ended questions and then waiting and listening to receive the information back and to hear your concerns.
And you do a great job of that. I know you take a lot of time with people, and I
Mhm.
think that some lenders just rush through, to take the order, to get the person in, to get them, under your contract, if you will, and be working their file instead of taking the time to make sure that it's actually a viable buyer. And if not, spending that time, because you can buy now or you can buy later, and really spending the time to do that counseling with that client to say, you know what, doesn't look like we're going to be able to do this right this second, at least not at the level you want to do it, at this price point where you want to do it. But let's take a look at your credit. Like you mentioned, all these things. I know you do all of that counseling in the background and educating. And sometimes it means that you're not going to get the business at that moment. But that's being a good business person in real estate,
Mhm.
is sometimes we are working now for what we will reap later. You sow the seed and you reap later,
Absolutely.
and you're okay with that. And not everybody's okay with that. Some people will try and push it through, and then you get the horror stories of people who get to the closing table. They think they're going to close, and all of a sudden there's a monkey wrench thrown in from underwriting, something that popped up that
Like,
shouldn't,
"Oh,
it
there was no
shouldn't have even,
divorce decree.
it
Where's the
shouldn't have even
divorce
gotten that
decree?"
far.
Yeah,
Right.
you get smacked across, and
And now
even
everybody's messed
if
up. The seller can't sell, the buyer can't buy it. The seller can't sell that house. That means they can't probably buy the house that they're going to buy. And then we've got all these dominoes going whoosh. And now that one poor business person who is worried about themselves, because again, we're all obviously have to make a living, but there's that saying, when you help enough other people get what they want, you'll end up getting what you want. When you follow that in this business, I feel like that's what success is in our business. But when you're focused on yourself all the time and only getting what you want, then those are the disaster transactions where either a real estate agent or a lender blow it all up because they didn't actually take the time to do their job and to do their due diligence, or they're just not that good at what they do and they don't even know what to look for, or like you said, the right questions to ask. Dig deeper. Sometimes you got to
and
dig a little
and
deeper.
listen, because if I listened and I heard eventually, "Oh, I'm just getting home my child," and they'll bring up their child and they'll say something, and, like, they're in junior high. It's like, "Oh, hold on 1 second. They're in junior high, but you're newly married?" Again, let's go back to that scenario because that happens so many times
Right.
where, okay, you owe child support, when does it end? If it
Mhm.
ends in a year, that's debt. That's $400 that you didn't think was going to be debt. Or do
Right.
you only have 3 months left? Because that changes the scope of the home you're looking
Sure.
at. That
Or
changes
receiving
significantly.
it, someone receiving it, and somebody asked the question, are you
Exactly.
getting child support? Yes, I am. How much? $600 a month. Great. But they don't say how much longer. And like you said, it's only for 3 more months. And it's not
It
long enough
has to
to
be
actually count it as income.
correct. It has to be continuance of 3 years of
Exactly.
income.
But they don't even ask those questions.
Yeah,
Right. And I,
so the age of 15, depending on how it's written in the divorce decree, it can be on the 18th birthday, child support ends, or end of high school.
right.
So right now I
Most of
have a
them should be
client,
end of high school unless they're 17 when they
they
end high
don't.
school. Then you want it to say 18, if you, because like
Yeah.
I've had it both ways. I've had two that graduated high school at
Mhm.
18 and one that graduated at 17. So you
Yeah,
want
so
the 17-year-old,
Anna,
I would want it to say 18. And the other two, I wanted it to say graduate, post graduation.
yes. And the same with my divorce, um, it it states until she turns 18 because she's 17 throughout her senior year,
Right.
and it covers her through that summer, and
Hmm.
then we're done. It's right there. It's
Right.
so close to graduation. It's a month or 2. It's not a big deal, but I have it written into my divorce decree that it's gonna end when she turns 18, not
Yeah.
high school. So I have a client right now who's supposed to be out searching, and her timeline's coming up because the child support that she needs to income qualify for the type of home she needs ends in June. We have to be closed by June if we wanna use that
Oh,
income.
oh,
I
wow.
know, she has a month and a half. And I keep reaching out, "Hey, you do realize," and I can't say it enough. So there comes that organization. I'm the cheerleader. I'm right top of mind with her. Like, "Hey, don't forget,
Does the
your
agent know
divorce."
too? Did you tell the agent? Okay. So because the agent doesn't, you don't want the agent to be like, oh, I didn't know. Because that's gonna be
There's
a
a
big deal.
timeline.
Yeah,
There's a timeline.
yeah.
And so
Oh,
let's just say,
that's a tough
I
one.
know. So this is not her situation. This is a hypothetical. Okay. Let's say hypothetically she's approved for 300,000 with where she stands because her child was 15 and child support needs to continue for 3 years. Well,
Right,
high school ends. So we have a month and a half to utilize. Let's say she receives 500, $600. That changes the scope of the she just
yeah,
went from 300,000 and now that pre-approval, let's just say she breaks that and she goes past that time, we can no longer use that income, then it drops all the way down to 180. And I was very clear. I gave
that's
her, isn't that
awful.
significant?
Well, yeah, because what are you gonna find from 180 right now? You can, but probably not in the same areas she wants to look.
Oh, 100,
Or
it
it's gonna be
changes.
broke down and she's gonna have to do a lot. I hope she's handy or has somebody in her life that is, because it's gonna need a lot of work.
Yeah, she's
That's
gonna
a tough
need,
one.
I don't know.
That's a
I don't
tough
know. But
one.
again, that communication. So let's go back to your question of what buyers should be asking their lender. Stuff like this, these nuances, you need to know.
Yeah,
A good lender needs to know guidelines. This is the guideline I'm very well versed in. Holly and I, we've both been in real estate for a very long time. Both Holly and I are divorced. We've specialized in this. We have
right.
podcasts going back years about the conversation of divorced
Divorce and real
individuals and
estate.
how we
Mhm.
can help them out and how there's benefits, but also setbacks. So talking to individuals who know their industry, who
Yes.
know the ins and outs. Again, so important to know this because here I am with this one client. I'm texting, hey, I need A and B to establish this because we go from here to here. And I don't want that for her because, of course, I want the best. I
Right.
want her to have the best.
Of course you do.
So, and then there may be something going in her life. I don't know until I'm privy of the information, I don't know, but I can only sit there, be a cheerleader, and just know and be well versed in the situation of divorce or separated individuals because they
Right.
may not have been married at the
Right.
time. But yeah, it's knowing these little nuances. FHA, all those type of loans you need to know, and half my business is VA.
Mhm.
The other portion, a lot of divorced individuals and reverse mortgages. Like those 3, it's like you just talk about, you talk about, you talk about. Of course, conventional, we all can do conventional, but
Right.
getting down to being specialized in an area and knowing I even
That's
get thrown for
huge
a loop.
too. Knowing
Yeah,
that
there's
you are,
sometimes.
yeah, expert in that area for sure, in your
Mm,
little niche. You know all the other things too, but it's nice to have somebody who specializes too in things, just like a doctor specializes. And I'm sitting here thinking, as you're talking, I'm like, okay, so if I'm watching this and I'm brand new, maybe I'm a first time home buyer and I'm thinking, man, there's a lot for me to know. Oh my gosh, what if I don't ask the right questions? Oh my gosh. So here's my thought: there's a lot of ways that you can make sure you pick the right agent. You can reach out to me, and let's say you're even looking at Indiana. I don't work in Indiana, but I know what you need in an agent. So what I do, and what I know Cece does as well, a big part of my business is playing matchmaker. I just got a referral the other day, and I just gave one out the other day to Ohio, and someone called me from Ohio for here today. And the point being is, I know what to ask. So if you call me and say, Holly, I need help. I'm moving to X, Y, and Z town. Can you help me find the best agent? Absolutely. If I don't know you already, I'm gonna ask you a lot of questions. Again, get to know you, what's important to you. Now I'm gonna go and I'm going to interview agents for you. I'm gonna come back to you and I'm gonna give you names, at least one, maybe two, sometimes three, for you to now talk to and decide which one you like best. And I'm going to make sure that these people are experts in the area and experts in a lot of these things. So you can kind of breathe and be like, okay, I'm like a matchmaker. It's fun. I know real estate. I know people. I know how to put people together. It's one of my strengths. I know how to do that. So I'm happy to do that. And I do that. And I love doing that. Also, you can go on places like Zillow. I don't love Zillow, but you can go there. You can look at Google reviews, check out some reviews, or ask the agent, hey, do you have any reviews or testimonials you can send me? Sometimes they're on their website, sometimes they're on Facebook, sometimes Zillow, sometimes Realtor. I would say I don't have time to put them everywhere, and these are people that are giving them. So when a seller closes with me, I only ask for three. I feel like it's way too much to ask for more. I'll ask them to go on Google and on Facebook and Zillow. And the same exact review, they
Okay.
can just post three places and I make it easy. So there's three links for them to do. And some people still don't do it, but I try to make it easy because I do realize I'm not going to ask them to post it 10 places. So those are the three main places. Look to see if these agents have good reviews. If they don't have good reviews, well, it could just be that weirdo that isn't happy by anyone, but it could be that this agent may not be the right fit for you. Just a thought.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this is a great discussion.
It was a great discussion. I think we gave everybody enough to think about, and
Yeah.
as we're looking at moving forward in 2025, people are looking to buy in Michigan or Florida. Definitely call us because we are licensed both places, and we are more than happy to have those conversations and help you prep, especially if you're relocating. That's a different topic we can do another time about relocating. I think
I
we've already done
do
it.
love the
Yeah,
conversation
we've did it.
of
We've done it. We could do
relocation.
it again. Yeah, we could do it again because it was a
Yeah.
good conversation on. I think there's a lot of relocation happening this year. I have two. I have
There
one, the
is.
people in Texas, and then I've got
Yep.
another one coming in from Chicago. We worked with someone last year that came in from Arizona, back and forth,
Oh,
two houses.
yeah.
I think there's going to be a lot of movement this year. I'm putting that out there. I think there's going to be a lot of relocation moves.
Mm.
There's a lot going
Yeah.
on with jobs, with different scenarios, with people and their
Having to go back
feelings.
work full time now,
Yep.
not be remote.
Not
That
maybe
changes the
liking the
scope of
state that they're
things.
in, or just
Yep.
having to move because of their jobs.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think we're going to see some movement. So it's a good conversation to have, and something that we can talk about as well. So,
Yeah.
okay. Well, thank you so much for joining me again, Cece. This is Cece Maciejewski, Simple Home Lending. My
Thank you for having me
bestie,
on.
of course, and also my business partner. I'm Holly Amato. I'm with EXP Realty. And we can work to help you find the right agent, the right lender, wherever you're looking to move. And you'll find us at 6:30 Eastern on Tuesdays, where we go live. And you can tap the bell for notifications. That way you'll
Tap,
know when
tap,
we go
tap.
live. And you can, of course, like the episode and subscribe so that you're going to get a lot of content. We do a lot of content. So if you like content, we do too.
Okay, well, cheers. Getting
Cheers.
hydration in.
Have a great rest of your week, everybody. And let's look forward
Yes.
to next week, and be blessed in everything that you do.
Bye.